What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So waiting for Fabian Meyer and his coach Patrick Tuor to announce their next move. Is Fabian gonna stay in the men's open bodybuilding and utilize the upcoming off-season, get bigger, put on more muscle, so that he can grow into the men's open bodybuilding division? Or is he gonna try to suck down and somehow make the classic physique weight cutoff? Well, Fabian was the biggest surprise of this past Portugal Pro, because as a classic physique guy, he should have been outmuscled and dwarfed by all these men's open guys like Rubiel Mosquera, Nathan D'Asha, Bruno Santos. But the man held his own pretty damn well. And on top of all that, he looked so polished and so aesthetically pleasing, standing between three mass monsters. And to think that classic physique was on their agenda all along up until 48 hours out, the decision to compete in the men's open, that was made after Fabian failed to make the weight cutoff. But we all saw the man looked shockingly good on his men's open bodybuilding debut. So what if Fabian decides to take the full year off to get bigger, to grow into the men's open, put on some density, some real muscle, which is needed for a bigger class, and then make a comeback? So the man is 6'3", weighing 260 pounds on the stage, and he can be a formidable men's open athlete if he can put on, I'm gonna say, about 20 to 30 pounds of more muscle. Yes, I know, easier said than done. However, if they decide to come down and somehow make the weight cutoff for classic physique, it's highly unlikely that he's gonna be as hard and as muscular compared to his Portugal Pro look. But on the flip side, he could have had absolutely annihilated the whole lineup in classic physique division at Portugal Pro. So what do you guys think? Classic or the men's open for Fabian Meyer? Next up, we have an update from Rafael Brandao, one of the best from Brazil. So he's gonna be traveling to Vegas to prep for the Olympia, and I'm assuming in the Dragon's Lair gym, as he holds a very strong connection with his friend and his idol Flex Lewis, who is the owner of that gym and who is a legend in the 212. So the biggest mission for Rafael Brandao this year, first of all, that was to pack on more quality size, more mass, and get bigger overall. And secondly, put on some density, especially in the back department. His chest is looking bigger and denser for sure here. It was far from being an ideal off-season for Rafael Brandao this year. And even though they made all the right calls, qualifying for the Olympia very early in the season, as he did that last year in Romania Pro. But because of that stomach problem, some months during the off-season, they were kind of wasted. So he had to reduce his food intake, and he couldn't maximize those 2 months to gain more size. Because if we take a look at Rafael Brandao's physique right now, in comparison to the last show that he did, which was Romania Pro, I do not think there is enough mass and thickness on that frame where he can challenge someone like Andrew Jack or maybe Martin Fitzwater. So him and his coach Neil Hill, they both agree that Rafael Brandao needs more size to compete with those top 5 Olympians, or I'm gonna say top 6. Now, it has been a very slow and a very steady growing pace by Rafael Brandao, especially in terms of size. And one thing that he has done very well from 2017 onwards, the year he made his pro debut, is keep his waistline very tight. And the man made sure that all of his classic lines, they stay intact while getting bigger. So will Rafael Brandao ever be big enough to fight for that Mr. Olympia title, as that is the ultimate goal? Well, at this point, we do not really know. Some guys out there are only meant to be bigger to only certain extent. Not everyone is meant to be Samson Dauda and Andrew Jack. But if Rafael Brandao does get bigger, he has one of the most beautiful physique in the men's open bodybuilding. And he is one of the only few guys out there who has no weak shots. So if he can bring in more size, more mass, then sky is the limit for him. Next up, we have an update from Laszlo Kerali. The improvements that we're seeing on his physique, they are a testament of his hard work and dedication during this past whole off-season. I think his legs are looking the best they have ever looked. And even in his last show, which was Texas Pro last year, he looked very balanced top to bottom, and his legs came up big time. But the man took that 4th place finish very personally, and rightfully so, because majority of us, we did not understand how he placed solo at that show. He did not complain, he just got the feedback and he went right back to work. And the result of all that hard work that is showcasing right now in terms of bigger legs and better quads, plus a much improved back. So I 100% think that Laszlo Kerali has one of the most aesthetic and one of the most classic looking physique in the entire IFBB Pro League at the moment. Mind-blowing X-frame, amazing V-taper, probably one of the best in the entire bodybuilding. That crucifix pose, that can steal the show on the first glance. And just like what we saw with Fabian Meyer this past weekend at Portugal Pro, as a very tall guy, he is just a victim of the weight cap in classic physique. But that being said, to be able to make improvements while being so strict with how much weight you can put on, even during the off-season, that is so phenomenal. Now we do not know whether he's coming back to compete at this year's Texas Pro or not. We do however know that the next show in sight, that is very near, and he wants to be on the Olympia stage in October. So in terms of pure aesthetics, where do you guys rate Laszlo Kerali and his physique in comparison to those top classic physique pros? Next up, we have another update from Justin Shier, under 4 weeks out of his comeback show, which is gonna be Tampa Pro, and maybe he's looking very flat here, and that is to chase that conditioning. So his chest right there is looking quite soft based on this update. But this is a process that every bodybuilder has to go through in order to get absolutely ripped and peeled to the bone. And this is where a good coach comes in to keep his athlete in the right direction, in that right mindset. Because getting flat, that is often perceived as being soft and holding water. And that prep brain, when that kicks in, it makes you question everything. So Justin so far in his pro career has done only 2 shows. Chicago Pro back in 2023, which he won, and his Olympia debut that same year, where he just wasn't ready in order to be top 10 in the world. So since the Olympia that year, Justin has been in the lab, trying to get bigger to improve, especially in terms of his back. And that was the main area of focus throughout this very long off season. Now Justin is gonna be very competitive from the front. And it is logical to think that his back is gonna look much better, considering he has been so masterful in his training and execution. His training style is kind of similar to that of the mutant Nick Walker. So Justin is definitely gonna be among the most pretty physique on this upcoming Tampa Pro stage, which is happening in about 3.5 weeks time. And the man has got some crazy body parts too. Like for instance his arms, his legs, his waistline, they are absolutely awesome. So he's shooting for his 2nd Olympia qualification. The 2019 Mr. Olympia champion Brandon Carey was staying in the shadows for many weeks after this year's Arnold, Ohio. And all of a sudden, the man is back, and the man is back with a bang, and is putting out some crazy physique updates on a daily basis. Another day, another 14 weeks out physique update from Brandon Carey, looking absolutely sensational. Now that right there is a superb look for 14 weeks out. And that right there is a great starting point for his Mr. Olympia prep for this year, especially in comparison to last year, when he wasn't even close to being that big. Now Brandon really achieved greatness while working and training at the O2 gyms in Kuwait. He won 2 Arnold Classic titles, 1 Mr. Olympia title, but he switched to a new coach and the new environment that definitely helped him bring one of his best looks at this past Arnold, Ohio. Him beating guys like William Bonac and all these other guys who beat him at the Olympia last year. Now there was no Hadi Choopan or Nick at this year's Arnold, so that makes the Olympia top 5 a very difficult task for Brandon Carey. But Brandon had this full-blown off-season this time with his new coach, finally after a very long time. And we all wanna see him bringing that same Olympia 2022 look, maybe with a tad bit better conditioning. I think that was the biggest Brandon we ever saw on the stage, but he just wasn't dry enough that year. So can he bring the combination of that same size from back in 2022 with the conditioning that he had at this past Arnold, Ohio? Well, 14 more weeks to find out. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.